Hello, I just want to make a little video here for people with the Kubota ZD1211. I just picked up this machine used, and I've kind of been going through it and fixing it up, and the front center axle pin wasn't taking grease, so I just kind of wanted to walk you through what I'm doing, and maybe it might help someone else out. So what I did was jack up the front of the mower and then lock the axle in the lock position, because this will hold up, these two pins will hold up the front axle once the center pin comes out. And then after that, it took a little bit of, they say not to pound on it in the manual, but mine was pretty well rusted in, as you can see. That's one of the reasons it wasn't taking grease. So I took this is a 3/8 extension. Oh, here it is. And use that as a little drift to pop that out. And at the same time, I kind of wiggled the axle back and forth. And then trying to clean up inside of there, kind of hard to see. But what I did was I took a belt sander and duct taped it to this 3/8 inch extension, and I've got a little adapter to get it in my impact, and you can see kind of what's coming off the inside there. It's pretty well caked on the sandpaper now, but it worked pretty good. So wrap this up nice and tight around the extension. Try to do this with one hand. And then that fits in there. And then it's kind of like just a really long flap, this. And then I'm just running this through. Cleaning up. Cleaning up the inside there as best as I can. And it does a pretty decent job. I ran out of brake clean, but I've just been using PB Blaster there as a little lubricant and trying to get that out. Obviously a solvent would work better, but so yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing. And I took that same little, this is 80 grit, and I just used my palm. Cleaned up this pin there. This greaser, got it flowing, new grease. That's the duct tape I used to tape that on, the sandpaper onto that extension. It's pretty good stuff. So yeah, clean up the rest of this stuff. Make sure to lube this with some good grease. Yeah, I'll come back after everything's cleaned up and ready to put back together. All right, so we got that pretty well cleaned up. You can see I got the Zerk back in there, and it's got some fresh grease. Still a little rusty in there, but I'm not gonna get it perfect. Here's the pin right here. So it was in this orientation like that. Underneath of here, you can kind of see where there's a divot in this square piece. I'm gonna flip this 180 because you can see it's kind of worn a little bit. I don't have a new one, so I'm gonna flip this around 180 degrees and reinstall it this way. Hopefully get a little bit more life out of it. Should be at least better than it was. And I'm going to pre-lube this a little bit with some grease before we slide it back in. And come back when that's done. Okay guys, got the pin back in. Kind of challenging, you almost need 3 hands to do it, because you gotta hold up the axle in line, push the pin, and then there's a washer right down there, right about there where that grease is oozing out, that needs to slide in there too, so it's kind of challenging. But it's in, nuts on, it's not tightened yet. The manual calls for an adjustment procedure. You can see here, they want, what does it say? 0 to 0.2 millimeters from the factory up to 0.5 millimeters and play between item 3 and 4. I don't know, it's hard for me to see where 4 is. I don't think I'm gonna measure that. They just say somewhere, where did it go? Tighten the nut so that the front axle can oscillate smoothly by hand. So I'm gonna go with that. It was almost just hand tight, this castle nut, when I took it off. So I'm gonna tighten it up and then probably back off again. You can see in this diagram right there, so that's the piece that I was talking about earlier that was worn, that square piece. You can see it doesn't seat all the way up against that frame, which is the position it's in now. So I'm tightening this castle nut. I'm using a 1 1/16 inch socket on here. It's probably metric, but I don't have a metric socket that big, so just gonna give it a little bit there. I gotta take these out. Put that back in the holder. Sorry, trying to do this and video at the same time. Put that back in its holder. And I can put these clips back in. There we go. Okay, there's that. So let me get some grease in there before we finish. See, there's quite a bit of play. I think it's just worn, but we'll see. Let me hook up the grease gun real quick. All right, grease gun is locked on. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's taking grease now. Beautiful. Oh, you can hear it. And there it comes, oozing out right there. That's perfect. That was not the case before. Let's give this a little bit more. Still. I'm probably gonna change over to let me just get a regular ratchet. I'd rather have feel by hand as this is tightening up. Okay, that's fairly tight, I would say. Oh yeah. It's a little too tight. Let's back off. Well, where are we at here? Back off. A little bit on this guy. Okay, I just saw it move. Oh my gosh, that's way better. Okay, I think we'll be perfect right there. We can get that little pin back in to lock it in. That definitely oscillates easy, almost too easy because I guess that's about half a millimeter of play. I'd really like to go one more turn, but then it's too tight. So we'll keep it there for right now and test it out and then tighten it up later if we need to.